But I think we're in a situation now where we need a few more deals to go through and start speeding the market up. And I think one of them is you guys deciding on what to, and what do you think you guys are going to do? Because some reports, Plattenberg, Šeško's more advanced. I think Jacobs has said Šeško's more advanced. Fabrizio's more on the side of the Portuguese press where it's all about this Gyökeres deal and he's waiting for Arsenal. I don't know what Ornstein said. I swear he mentioned Šeško weeks ago. Nothing since. Like, as an Arsenal fan, you're obviously closer to that news than I am. What's going on with it, and who do you think you're going to go after?
I think we're going to end up with Šeško. I want Gyökeres. Now, 1 minute you hear that Šeško's advanced, the next minute you hear that Gyökeres wants Arsenal, then you hear that actually we're not interested in going that big for Gyökeres because we believe it's too expensive for him. Even though Šeško is more expensive, they see the potential, so they're happy to pay for the potential. It's a mess. That's what it is, Tel. It's a mess. And I don't know if we've got our planning correct. I'm a big fan of what Berta's going to bring, but I don't like the fact that we still haven't brought a striker. And I know that sounds really petulant and perhaps spoilt, but it is clear that Arsenal need a centre forward. And if we keep dilly-dallying, we might end up with neither of them. So I think we do want Šeško, and I think Gyökeres would be interested in Arsenal. I just don't know that we're actually set on Gyökeres. And it sounds like we're playing it that we want Šeško, but if it doesn't happen because Leipzig are asking for too much, then Gyökeres might be the guy that we go for. Sporting Lisbon, from what we understand, have said, no, we ain't got no gentleman's agreement. That was Hugo Viana who had that agreement. He's gone to Man City. We don't care about him now. We care about getting as much as we can for Victor Gyökeres. And he's going to be 70, 80 million euros. And he's going to want 250 a week. Go and get him then. We paid 65 M's and 290 for Havertz. Why are we trying to scrimp and save for a better striker who's Premier League who's proven to be a bagsman in Europe? Then you've got Šeško who wants less money a week, but is going to be more money than Gyökeres is because he's going to be near 80 million euros. For me, we got to go and get someone who's going to be bagging in goals. And what I don't understand, I know what your thoughts here on this, LB, right? A lot of Arsenal fans, yeah, but Šeško's the better fit. Shut up, man. What does that even mean? The guy's got 13 goals in the Bundesliga. Victor Gyökeres has scored over 50 in the last 2 years for his club. But because the opposition in the Portuguese league is seen as like that comparisons of League One teams and Championship teams, it don't count. Name me another Portuguese striker in that league that's scoring over 50 goals. You can't. Šeško scored less goals than Marmoush. He scored less goals than Patrick Schick. He scored less goals than players that I've not even heard of in that Bundesliga, by the way. But because he might be good in a few years, we're all getting excited about him.
So, do you need a striker or do you need a goal scorer?
That's been brought up the other day, by the way.
Oh, was it? Oh, someone beat me to it, man.
Someone beat you to it, man.
So actually, that guy is actually wrong. Arsenal are not looking for a goal scorer. You're looking for a striker.
I don't know what we're looking for, mate. We're looking for everything, it seems. Look, I don't know what your thoughts are, man, but we need Gyökeres or the only ones that would excite me, right? Are Gyökeres, Osimhen, Julian Alvarez. They're the three, and Isak, obviously. They're the only four that I'm looking at going, yeah, fair play. I don't particularly want Ekatike. I don't particularly want Šeško. I don't particularly want any of the other Premier League strikers like João Pedro and Watkins and Mateta and all these guys. I want one of those four names that I've just said. They're the only four that make Liverpool and Manchester City go, seriously? Wow. Yeah. I didn't want Arsenal to sign them.
Here's what I feel, Daniel, is I go back to January, right, mate? Arsenal was still in a title race. Just. Not really, but just, yeah? And I think you were still in the Champions League and domestic cups. I'm not sure what you was in.
We're in the Carling Cup, yeah.
You're still in the Carabao Cup at that point, right? So you're in 3 trophies, going steady, but a couple of injuries, the ship's rocking and that, yeah? Signed nobody. Right. Okay. You went on to win nothing. I just look at it and think, why on earth did you spend no money in January? It's not like you spent 200 million the summer previously. You spent 70 million quid on Calafiori and Marino. So the money would have been available. So I remember Arsenal fans telling me that the reason why you didn't sign anybody in January is because you've got all the money lined up and you're going to go and get the players in the summer. So that means the targets were already identified, but you couldn't get them in January for whatever reason that was, right? So why are we here now? And you've still not signed anyone? I know Zubimendi's like pretty much like done whatever, but why have you not got this? Why have you not got this striker locked off already? Why are you still? Why am I still? Don't even know you're going
negotiating, bruv. They're still negotiating between the two, Sesko and Gyökeres.
I
1
think
minute
that's
we're putting in
ridiculous,
bids.
bro.
Well, apparently we're putting a bid of 49 million for Gyökeres. That's an absolute insult and disgrace, by the way.
That's
Seeing as we
crazy,
paid
man.
65 million pound for Havertz, if that's true, of course. Then there's rumours we're going back in with 70 million for Gyökeres. The rumours are that we actually do want Sesko. Arteta's identified Sesko. He's proven to Alberta as the way that he wants to play. Sesko will turn into Haaland. By the way, no pressure if we get Sesko, by the way, because this is what people are telling me, that he's the next Haaland. So I expect 30 goals this season if he comes in, bare minimum, right?
But hang on a minute, right? So if you want the next Haaland's a goal scorer, right? Haaland's job is to put the ball in the back of the net. This is why when people talked about his link-up play, I really couldn't care less. His job is to put the ball in the back of the net. So if you wanted someone to do that, why not go and get Gyökeres? Because Gyökeres is clearly demonstrated that he can put the ball in the back of the net.
Because he doesn't fit the profile of what Arteta wants, is what I'm being told.
So then, hang on a minute. But so who's running the show here? Is it Berta or is it Arteta?
Well, this is what we don't know. At the moment, it looks like Mikel Arteta has got the most powerful voice at the club, because the players that we wanted back 12 to 18 months ago are the ones we still want now, right? Zubimendi, Sesko, Nico Williams, albeit that's called off of interest now. Looks like we brought in Kepa, who's a goalkeeper that has been recognised as a good backup. Anything that Andrea Berta does, I'm judging that aren't those names. Because if we bring in Zubimendi, I'm not hailing Berta, because we bloody done that 12 months ago. That was the guy we wanted ages ago. If we get in Sesko, that's the guy we should have got last summer, but had a gentleman's agreement to come back in the previous summer, or the following summer, should I say. So, look, if Berta goes and gets us Rodrigo and we go and get Morgan Rogers or an Eze or maybe Baena or somebody like that, I'm going to look and say, blimey, he's working. But I ain't twerking for Berta if we're bringing in Sesko and Zubimendi, because that's been identified by Mikel Arteta. So has Berta been brought in to get the players Arteta wants, or has he been brought in to do his job, which is to identify and allow Arteta to do the stuff on the pitch? That's what I still don't know at the moment, because it's too early in the window. But we will find out. I think we're going to get Sesko. I don't particularly think that's enough to win us the league, but
well, I've got to say, I'll have the same energy for you. In fact, before I say that, what winger are you getting? Because obviously you need a left winger desperately. So what winger are you going to get?
Not Rodrigo.
Do we know who you've been linked with?
Because he's going to be going to Real Madrid. He's going to stay at Real Madrid, they believe. What winger are we getting? Not Nico Williams, not Rodrigo. At the moment, don't know. There's no one linked with us at the moment.
All right, then. So I'll say the same thing that I said about Chelsea then, right? Because I'll try and be fair, yeah? If you end up with Sesko, Zubimendi, I don't see that being anywhere near enough. Near enough. And again, said about Chelsea, you know, their signings need to push you to be able to win. I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's it. I don't think that's nearly enough.
The only way that we can catch up with what City and Liverpool have done now is to go and buy Isak and Rodrigo, or Gyökeres and Rodrigo. That's the only way we can catch up with what Liverpool have done with Florian Wirtz and Kirkes and all these guys they're bringing in, and what City have done with Aït-Nouri, Ryan Cherki and Reinders. Those, for me, are clear of everyone so far. They've left Newcastle, Chelsea, Arsenal, and all the others behind, in my opinion, Liverpool and City. And at the moment, it's going to be a two-horse race. That's truly what I believe at the moment. And for those that think that's over the top, I don't think that can be. When Arsenal are going to have Havertz up top starting, it would not surprise me, if Havertz is lining up as the number 9 in the first game of the season at Arsenal, and we've got Sesko being moulded into the team. That ain't good enough, man. That ain't good enough. Not to go and win the league. It ain't. Sesko could be a good player in a few years' time. I don't think he's a shambles of a footballer. I don't particularly believe I can put my house on him scoring 20 goals for an Arsenal shirt. That's what we need. That's what we need. We've got Havertz who gets us 10 to 15. We need the 25 to 30. That's what we need, right? And there's only a handful of goal scorers that can do that. Isak's one of them. I believe Julian Alvarez would be a brilliant signing. I think Victor Osimhen would be the other one, and Victor Gyökeres would be the other.
Well, why don't you go and get Osimhen? Why don't you go? He's on the market. Yeah, he's available. I don't
Not
even
even
think
linked with him, bro. Not even linked with him.
transfer fee's not even meant to be that big from what I've seen. I actually think, and I've said this before, I think he'd be the perfect striker for Arsenal because he can just sit in the box, yeah. Because obviously Arsenal dominate the ball on the edge of the penalty area, and he's a box striker. And I think he'd be the best one out of everyone. But you're not even
linked with him, bro. Not even linked with him.
No.
Because he wants a tall, imposing centre forward, from what we hear, like Havertz. So that's why Gyökeres and Sesko are being talked about.
Yeah, but Osterman's quite tall. I think he's over 6 foot, isn't he, chat? I swear he's like 6'2" or something.
I don't know what he is.
I swear Osterman's tall. Someone in the chat must know how big he is. He's a tall player. I think
I would take Osterman over Sesko. And you know, look, I'm not saying that a lot of people are trying to compare Sesko to some of the others' names, like Isak. Isak's numbers weren't that impressive at Real Sociedad. One, they were pretty good. And two, you could see straight away, you didn't need any numbers. You saw with the eyes how good he was, right? And that's why they paid 60 million for him, Newcastle, and not 25. So Sesko, for me, I think he's going to be a very good player in the next couple of years. Don't know what he's going to do with his career, but he looks like he could be a very good footballer. But I don't think it's enough to be ready now to go, right, Arsenal are ready. If we sign Sesko, Zubimendi, let's say Eze, Man City and Liverpool are going to go, oh my God, Arsenal are ready. I'm scared of them. No, they're not. They're not going to. But if I said to you, LB, have you heard who Arsenal's signing? Now go on, Potts, who they're signing. We're getting Gyökeres, we're getting Rodrigo, we're getting Eze, and then we've got Zubimendi coming in. You'd be like, bloody hell, that's a pretty good front line now. Gyökeres, Rodrigo, and Saka. With Ødegaard behind, feeding in, with Zubimendi coming in with his passing and with his Rice balling out in the midfield. Then all of a sudden Arsenal are serious. But if you're bringing in Sesko, I don't think anyone would be saying that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
Sesko. I feel like Sesko's another player that's going to need a couple of years to bed in and that. Arsenal ain't got a couple of years, man. You know what I mean? What is it you keep telling me? 20 years since you last won a Prem.
Over
30
that,
years since you last won a European trophy. 5 years without a trophy. Like it's worse for. We just spent half an hour speaking about Chelsea and how like their signings don't really inspire confidence to go and push forward. But at least Chelsea are sort of like Chelsea are you, but a couple of years ago. You've been second now 3 years in a row. Yeah, you know what I mean, so if you don't hit the market properly this year, that'd be worse than Chelsea for me. Because otherwise, how long does this gig carry on at Arsenal before people just say, I don't think they're actually a serious club anymore?
Well, it's one more season, isn't it? It's one more season now. I would have pulled the plug already, but it's one more season now. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's be real. Yeah, and then people will say, well, are you playing FIFA? What? Getting Gyökeres, the Sporting Lisbon striker, and Rodrigo. That is not playing FIFA, guys. Spending £300 million is what we've got to spend, from what we understand from the Cronkies. That's not playing FIFA.
No,
come on, man. Be real.
And we know Arsenal have got the funds available. They spent 70 million quid last year. 70 million. Yeah, Sterling's wages are going to go off the books. Yeah, they'll sell a couple players. Yeah, they have the money available. They like to go on about tell us all how big they are as a football club and that. Yeah, Arsenal can easily do 250, 300 million this summer. Easy. Yeah, I mean, Liverpool are doing, probably do best part of over 200 mil. If they get a striker, maybe more if they get a top level striker. It's just excuses, Potsy. People just make excuses, man.
Yeah.
For the football club. I don't know why, but that's what